But my big takeaway from yesterday was this. My quarterback, the guy that we've been waiting our whole life for, that dude, unflappable. He was awesome at the podium. He was able to separate business and personal. You could tell. Floof's a good guy. It's a business.
No question about it. Now, again, we talked last couple of days, Cap, about the press conference, winning the press conference. And, it all sounds great. It sounds like someone with authority there in Thomas Brown. But, again, it comes down to what happens on the field of play. That's the number one thing. Can you win? Can you lose? The people that are listening, they're busy with family and friends and finances and everything else, are just concerned about whether or not their team won or not. Again, it's not about personality, Cap. We grew up watching personalities in this town. But we got to go back to bare basics when it comes to teams that underachieve. When you're the Chicago Bears, I'm not worried about the jazz hands of Thomas Brown. I'm not. What I'm concerned about is, can you get this thing salvaged? We know that the playoffs are not in the conversation. We're just talking about how the operation could look professional for once.
Yeah, there have been flashes. We've seen games like the Detroit game. Caleb was outstanding in the second half. Outstanding. We've seen him throw for 363 yards, and then we've seen games where they look truly awful. That's going to happen with a rookie quarterback. That's going to happen with a coach that was in over his head. 19-3 to the Patriots. That one in and of itself, Waddle has said this, that's the worst loss of the season. Now, I have pushed back to Tommy and said the worst loss is the game you had literally in your hands. That was the Washington game. That'll be all. That ended the Eberflus era for me.
Yeah, for me, it's the Detroit game. Just pick a card, Cap. Any card.
Right.
Just pick a card.
Right.
Pick a loss.
Like a magic trick. He comes in, all the kids gather around Uncle Johnny. Pick a card, any card. I got a trick for you.
Watch this. Pull my finger. Oh, look at that.
The Indianapolis game. First and goal at the 4.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Oh, well, how about the Washington game? Blown coverage on a Hail Mary after giving up a free 13 yards. The Green Bay game. Oh, blocked the field goal. The Minnesota game. Come all the way back. Go backwards in overtime. Lose on a field goal. The Detroit game. Mm-hmm. We can go on and freaking on.
It all sucks.
It did. It all sucked. Damn. But I walked away from yesterday with a 4-8 football team that should be no worse than 7-5 and said, my quarterback is resilient. He's learning what pro football is all about, that your coach is going to get fired, and guess what? You got to go to work the next day and prepare and get ready to play a team that, if San Francisco loses, they're done. They have to win. Banged up as they are, they have to win. I would like to euthanize the 49ers, put them out of their misery, see a victory for my Bears, and, oh, by the way, all right, we better just rebuild this thing. Shanahan, we're trading you to Chicago. Let's go.
Well, let's do something. Let's do something positive and something completely different than we see at Howells Hall. That would be great to see. So let's hear from Caleb Williams because he got a chance to speak to the Pen and Mike Club yesterday. So Caleb Williams, the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. And this is something I really want to talk to you about, Cap, regarding here's a young man already in his first year that's gone through a tumultuous season, and we're not even done yet, in which you have 2 offensive coordinators and now 2 head coaches. It's Matt Eberflus and now the interim coach, Thomas Brown. Williams, for the first time, commenting on the Eberflus firing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't get any say or choice over that. I have to, roll with the punches. Like I said, it's interesting. It's tough. Like you said, someone that he's a reason on why I'm here. He drafted me, and so. Going through that and that process is interesting for me. I wouldn't say it's the first time that I haven't I've had similar situations in college with Lincoln leaving and going to USC, and I still, stayed behind for just those last game. So similar situation. So I'm able to kind of go off of that a little bit, but obviously it's a little different when, now it's NFL, and that's a man that has a family, a man that end up getting fired, and there's a human part of it, human part to it, and then there's a business side to it that you have to understand. And like I said, roll with the punches from there.
So also, Caleb Williams talking about how the firing has weighed on him personally.
Yeah, like I said, the human aspect of it, weighs on you a little bit, especially, this being my first year, this being my first head coach, that drafted me. So like I said, there's a human part of it. And then, the business side has to kick in and say, I understand it. I don't really have, control of it, but I have to roll the punches and I have to understand and move on and try and help this team win the best way that I can. And, from there we have to, you have to separate human aspect of it and business aspect of it when you're in the building and, trying to be out there in the field and focus and go out there and win games with these guys. And then, off the field, there's a human aspect of it like, damn, this, he's not going to be in the building and things like that. So it's tough, but got to move on. Got to get going with these guys in San Fran and focus on, coming out with the win.
Here comes the flow.
So Caleb Williams, the quarterback of the Bears.
Yeah, he didn't sound like, well, I've never been through this. I don't know how I'm going to react, and it's been really hard, and he was my guy. None of that. Hey, man, the guy's got a family. He's a good person. And I get back on the practice field. Let's go. On to San Francisco, to paraphrase. Let's go. I loved it. I loved how he comported himself. Now he's got to play. I don't know if they're linked. Like, if he goes out and throws for 480 yards, I can't tell you that's because they fired Eberflus. He threw for 363 with Eberflus. And if he goes out and throws for 71 yards and 8 picks, I can't tell you that's because they fired Eberflus either. He's a really good player. He's a rookie. He just needs consistency and to be developed. So if they don't get this hire right, and there's reports about this coach they didn't talk to, Harbaugh, that coach, and we'll get into that in a minute. Johnny, you've been given the golden ticket. You got this kid. He looks to be the best you and I have ever seen. We're from the same generation. You're just a little older than me, but same generation.
You see how you looked at you?
The best.
Hey, if Caleb averages 277 yards over these last 5 games, he'll hit 4,000 yards.
Oh, that would be so great.
Which is awesome. However, the overarching point that I want to make regarding this is as much as we take a look at Jay Cutler's career with the Chicago Bears and whether or not he was a good teammate or a good guy or underachieved, the thing is that it was constant change under Jay Cutler for the time that he was here. He was the epitome of average because the numbers say so. However, Cap, what we're looking at, we're staring down the barrel of a first-year quarterback that's going to have possibly his third head coach and third offensive coordinator before he even gets to year 2. I mean, I'm just saying that there's sweeping changes there.
True.
Now, again, we have not seen it on the field yet. I'd like to see how that all affects him. Now, I know individually he's got the talent, but change can be difficult for some. Not saying that's going to be that way for Caleb, but again, the facts are the facts. That just like Jay Cutler, where he had an offensive coordinator almost every year, an offensive line that was a bunch of rickety patio chairs in front of him, the change is going to be there for Caleb Williams as well. And the hope is that he can overcome.
Yeah, I was more convinced after watching him yesterday and really locking in to what he said and how he looked at the podium and went, that kid's resilient. That kid's ready to roll. Like, you come to this town and everybody who calls our show, everybody who hosts a show, us included, all think we know how to develop a quarterback. I can't believe they didn't do this. We've never seen a quarterback in this town. Never. We've had flashes. Jay had a big game here, and then he's horrible that game. Mitch has a big game, and then he has 6 horrible ones. Justin has a couple big games, and he has 5 horrible ones. We've never seen a guy like this, and that kid's resilient, and I'm all in on Caleb Williams.
I am as well, but again, for me, I got to see it on the field. Like, it's one thing. It's one thing to like the cornerstone players on this football team, but the record is what it is. And when it comes to Thomas Brown, let me say this as well. We're going to hear from Thomas Brown coming up. But Thomas Brown says all the right things, and which is great, and has control of the podium. But podium don't win you games. It just does not. And just remember, again, let me just make sure that everyone understands. With all the ineptitude with this football team, Cap, what's going on with the Chicago Bears, remember, he was also part of the issues at House Hall as well. So he can preach communication and execution and try to make sure he lessens the failure on this football team for what he can do. Mm-hmm. But just remember, and I'll just use this as a basketball analogy, he's got to move over another 18 inches to be the head coach of this team.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing to do.
From OC to now, you've got to be able to preside over everything. Coach, we need you to sign this. Coach, we need to talk to you about this sick kid. Coach, we want you to go to dinner with this salesperson. We got this, you got this. It's different. As an OC, you are isolated on that room and on that film to make sure you get the best out of your offensive staff. Thomas Brown's going to be everywhere now. Not saying he will fail in the job, Cap, but there's so many more things he has to do now as an interim that he had to do as an OC. It's just different.
It is totally different. You're exactly right. You lay that out. Coach, can you come down and talk to this sponsor? We're trying to get a deal done. Coach, yeah, we've got this youth group coming in. Coach, we need 2 minutes. Coach, hey, I'm trying to watch film here.
Yeah.
That's what being a head coach is. That's why this thought, we've got to have the coach fit into this box, whether that's offense, defense, whatever it is. No, the people that will be working with Caleb every day are the most important people he will deal with. Now, if you tell me that they're getting Kyle Shanahan, who has learned successfully how to navigate being a head coach and helping to develop a quarterback like Brock Purdy from a 7th-round pick to a pretty damn good player, then go get him. I don't care what it costs. Go get him, period. Like, if that guy's truly available, as Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk said yesterday, if he's truly available, there should be no scenario you don't get him unless he tells you, I have zero interest in being there. If he's willing to listen, come on, man. This is the most important hire in the history of the franchise. The most. More than the architects that will design the new stadium that will be there long after you and I are gone. Long after who your president is, or long after this, or long. It's that guy right there. He's got to put a structure in place that 53 guys look back and go, well, I know who the boss is. It can't be right. And nicknames, I'm Flus. What's your name? Canadian Eagle. No. I need a blankety blank in there that is in charge.